nothing quite like running out behind Ralph.
The number one mascot in all of college athletics and college football.
It's just the most amazing thing. You're filled with pride.
Just how incredible a tradition it has become. And
Fast, really intense.
No other university has a program like this.
And the PA announcer, you know, real deep, here comes Ralphie.
Here comes Ralphie.
She is quite simply the biggest thing in college sports. Ralphie has been the nation's premier mascot for over 40 years. And when the gates open for her on Saturdays here at Folsom Field, over 50,000 screaming fans are center stage to witness the pride and tradition of CU presented in a 1,200-pound frame. What started as a lark in the 1960s has grown into as big a game day icon as you'll find anywhere in America, and continues to grow this year with the introduction of the newest member of the Buffalo family. Every school needs a mascot for the students to rally around. However, the University of Colorado struggled for years to find the right fit. At the turn of the century, CU's engineering department donated a dog that found its way into pictures with all the athletic teams. Around 1912, there was a goat that was eventually stuffed and used as a symbol of the rivalry between Colorado and the School of Mines. And in the 1920s, it was a donkey named Clancy. 50 years after CU opened its doors, a newspaper contest paid $5 for the winning entry to find an official mascot. Boulder resident Andrew Dickinson thought the buffalo was a symbol for the West and the right face for the University of Colorado. Beginning in 1934, a buffalo was rented and placed on display as the figurehead of CU athletics. They would sit in a pen at games for people to admire and were cared for by fraternity groups on campus. However, that all changed in 1966 when a group of students decided that a buffalo in the end zone wasn't good enough. They wanted her on the field.
it was a complete lark. I mean, it was truly a group of guys who had no clue as to what they were getting themselves into. Ralphie 1 was by far and away the smallest but the most rambunctious of all of them. On game day, we would go out to Green Mountain riding stables, and it took about an hour to get Ralphie all cinched up. And then we would literally run her for about 3 hours to calm her down enough to come out into the stadium. We started high up in the northeast corner, and it's kind of a steep pitch coming down. That was all gravel. If people knew how little control we had over Ralphie 1, we never would have been allowed onto the field. But all of that became great fodder, and I mean, the more mistakes we made, the more the students enjoyed it, and the more it truly became the tradition. So I mean, it really was a comedy of errors that just took on a life of its own. In 1967, that's when we went to the Bluebonnet Bowl. We had no money to take her down there, but you know, we thought, man, we really need to try and get her down there. So we sold shares of stock in Ralphie. We had very interesting stock certificates that were drawn up, but that was on national TV, and you know, that really was, from that point on, there was no turning back on that tradition.
The tradition was born, and the buffalo was named Ralph for the sound she made while running. A year later, Coach Eddie Crowder gave the okay for the team to start running out behind the buffalo, giving us the opening scene we're used to today. Ralphie 1 was donated by the family of freshman Bill Lowry and trained by Buddy Hayes, and she ran for 13 years worth of home games and bowl appearances. All of the buffaloes would be named Ralphie, but each would come to CU with their own personality. Ralphie 2 was nicknamed Moonshine and was donated by the Bank of Boulder, who bought her from trainer and caretaker Greg McKenzie. Moonshine debuted in 1978 and ran for 8 seasons. The care of the buffalo rested on the shoulders of dedicated volunteers who donated their time, money, and land for her to live on. In the late 1980s, with the football program on the rise and Ralphie's popularity at an all-time high, the buffalo needed a new home, and she found one with her new parents, Johnny and Sharon Parker. In the late 80s, Johnny and Sharon Parker took over the reins of the Ralphie program and never looked back. At this point, Ralphie was already a national spectacle, getting love and attention from around the state and across the college football landscape. But the Parkers really turned the corner with the program when they began developing the men in Ralphie's life, the handlers.
It was pretty small. When I came here, I think we had 6 guys and an old beat-up trailer that was painted brown, as you can imagine. And we ended up with, I think, 15. Like when I came here, they didn't give any rewards to these kids for doing anything. And I got them to start lettering them. We got a varsity letter for doing this.
And I know Johnny Parker took care of Ralphie too in the early to mid 80s, and he was there when I joined, you know, tried out and joined in '93, and he was great. You know, Ben and I have always tried to emulate the example he set for us and how to do things first class and everything.
Watching the handlers grow. We have a crew of kids that come in, they're student athletes. They receive a letter for this, just like a regular student athlete would. They train.
The kids now, we've made it a priority for them that they work out and they work on their speed and strength, and it definitely has changed, and we notice it with these kids.
It's truly physically demanding. I mean, from the standpoint of adrenaline, having the time commitment to lifting and running and knowing how to run.
Yeah, we do a lot of working out. We lift and run 2 times a week in the mornings. Doing that just to get in shape for the runs, and it helps, but nothing prepares you.
So it's a brutal training. At 8:30 when I'm walking out of Dow Ward, sometimes it's hard to walk. I mean, it's not an easy workout at all. And
the first time I was just hoping I could keep up. I was walking on air, and there was turf back here in those days, so you could run pretty fast. And Ralphie 3 was smoking, just scared the heck out of us.
It's probably the most nervous I've ever been in my life, just sitting there waiting, and especially the first run in front of the fans, because you don't want to mess up with that many people. And
the crowd just erupts, and you don't know how to explain it, but every single time she runs, you get nervous. And every single time, I've been doing this for 11 years now, and every single time I'm nervous when she comes out of the gates.
Well, it's just great to convey to the newer kids the tradition and teach them to respect it, and that they're a special part of this here. They're only
to be a part of that great tradition just makes it that much more important, that much more fun, because we're actually, you know, we're the people that all the other fans are looking at and watching at the beginning of the game and looking for us to continue this great tradition at CU.
Let's turn Ralphie loose, and here come the Buffaloes.
You really realize how much of an honor it is on game day when you come in front of 50,000 screaming fans and they're all chanting Ralphie, and you get to run Ralphie to them. So.
And we couldn't do it without them. I mean, they're the ones that have the expertise and the knowledge and the care and the handling of Ralphie, and we couldn't do it without them. And all of them have done it on a volunteer basis. They spend their time. They have a lot of love for the program.
You have so many people like Johnny Parker, whose heart and soul and love and affection for the Buffalo and for Ralphie, and having such great respect for knowing what that represents to so many people. And there's tremendous pressure associated with that.
I had 150 of these guys go through in those 13 years, so you have to enjoy it. I enjoy working with the kids.
The handlers are selected during spring tryouts and are held to the same standards as a regular CU student athlete, with one exception, that being the responsibility of a 1,200-pound buffalo who will run up to 13 miles per hour on Folsom Field. They lift and train for Saturdays, but they are also charged with the caring for Ralphie, her transport, and her safety. In 1987, CU welcomed in Ralphie 3, a Wyoming orphan named Tequila, who burst onto the scene as the biggest and fastest buffalo yet. Early in her career, she made one of the most memorable runs in Colorado history, leading the team onto the field against Notre Dame for the 1990 National Championship game.
All right, Bob, and with it, Ralphie, the Colorado mascot, makes his appearance, and here come the Buffaloes, the Big 8 champions.
I think it was the best, and it was the most anticipated because I remember her leaving like a week before we were going to get down there, and they documented every traveling stop along the way. And to get there and then to see her the day before the game and day of the game, we run out behind her, you know, with all the chips, you know, out there, and that was a great thrill. That was probably the best time.
It was just one of those incredible moments, though. Nothing like it. I got to tell you, nothing quite like it. I've seen mascots at different college stadiums and arenas across the nation, and Ralphie, without doubt, is the most amazing one.
But if you ask Parker, the most memorable runs have little to do with football.
In 1992, I took her down to the Fiesta Bowl. The grass was wet that day. And we started out with 5 guys leading her out with a team, and 3 of them dropped off right away, and they just went down. And we had 1 guy on the back and 1 guy on the left front, and she just did her normal run, just perfect. And one of the guys that went off early went across the field, kind of headed her off and picked up that rope and finished with her. That was about the closest call we ever had. We almost lost her.
Tequila ran until the end of the 1997 season and retired to the Parker's Ranch in Hudson, Colorado. That left room for Ralphie 4, a 400-pound calf named Rowdy. Rowdy made her debut at the Rocky Mountain Showdown in 1998 and propelled the Buffs past the CSU Rams 42-14. She's been at it ever since.
Did he get it? Yes, he did! Javon Green!
With the dawn of a new Buffalo, Johnny Parker handed the program over to CU supporters Dale and Lynn Johnson, and then in 2001 to protégés Ben Fry and Kevin Priola, who had been handlers during their days at CU. Rowdy was in good hands, and so was the program. Since 1998, Ralphie 4 has seen more CU football games than most of the program's biggest fans. Every home game for 10 straight years, 5 bowl games, 4 Big 12 championship games, and a special trip to the SEC in 2006 that made national headlines.
Colorado Buffaloes played a 9th-ranked Georgia Bulldogs Saturday morning, 10:30 on May 20. For the first time in 25 years, Ralphie the Buffalo, CU's 1,000-pound mascot, is making an out-of-state road trip for a regular season game. She boarded the Ralphie Mobile today and began a 1,500-mile, 2-day journey from Boulder to Athens. Ralphie, over the past quarter century, has only traveled for Big 12 championship games, bowl games, stuff like that. So this is a big deal.
And then last year, we were actually asked by a couple students that went to University of Georgia to come down there. They wrote letters to the university, and then Mike Bone made a couple phone calls, and with the tradition, rich tradition in football down there, they were like, let's see what these guys have for tradition.
And then to see former Ralphie handlers like Kevin and Ben take a leadership role, and again, their passion and their love and their affection for Ralphie and the university and the program is unparalleled. And again, that's why we're so fortunate to have people like that make something special, continue for generations. And again, we're very, very fortunate and appreciative of their hard work and efforts to make a difference.
Kevin and Ben took Ralphie some 1,500 miles to run in front of 80,000 Georgia fans and 1 bulldog, Aga, the home mascot. It was no contest. The first regular season road trip in 15 years for CU's own was a huge hit for everyone who loves college football. And that's what Ralphie represents. She's an icon and an everlasting symbol for the University of Colorado.
Ralphie represents a sense of pride and distinction that is really, really special, and I think it's how we care for her. It's how she's respected by her fans. She represents the West. She represents a world-class status as a mascot, and that matches the university's world-class status.
It's just the most amazing thing. You're filled with pride. University of Colorado is one of the most amazing universities, and to have a mascot like her represent us, she represents everything that CU is. Just the pride that you feel when you're down on the field, listening to the fans cheer, watching little kids want to get their picture taken with her. So I love that the program's growing and that she's become actually a national prominence.
It's the only college stadium in the country where the visiting team has to run out second. You know, normally the home team runs out second and it gets the crowd going, and it's the only time where they say, hey, you got to wait because we got a buffalo coming, you know, right up the alley.
I think Ralphie has, and I think rightfully so, grown in stature in terms of the legacy of Ralphie. People far and nigh across this nation, regardless of whether we are undefeated or just having a tough season, people recognize Ralphie as being #1.
You know, a lot of other people have dogs or a bird or something like that, but we have a 1,500-pound animal we're running behind that is really fast. you know, it's an American icon in my eyes.
That's pretty much all I knew about CU when I was little. Growing up and before coming to CU, it was like, well, it's CU, it's in Colorado, and they have a buffalo.
Before you're 8 years old, that's the only reason you go up there is to see the buffalo, and you know, it's so big and fast running around the field. So I can remember my dad taking me to games, and that was the best part of the game, was watching Ralphie run out.
Ralphie is our symbol and our rock, if you will, and that's exactly what she is. She is so impressive in all that she represents in the history and the tradition and her demeanor and the way she represents our great university. We just couldn't be prouder to have Ralphie as our mascot.
She was even featured in the university's institutional spot in 2006. Starting at the Flatirons, running across the campus, and leading CU onto the field.
We had a great opportunity to use Ralphie as the symbol of not only the university but the athletic department, and to use Ralphie in the institutional spot was just, it was a no-brainer. It was something completely unique to Colorado, and a great opportunity for us to use her. A lot of people came together early on a Sunday morning. The Ralphie handlers were great. Ralphie was great that day. She was in total control. We took her out to the Flatirons, got a lot of great shots. Just to be able to do that, and to, you know, the final product was just, you know, it's impactful, and you know, if you ever see it play in the stadium at a game, the crowd reacts to it really well, and they start to get into it as soon as they see Ralphie running up on the big screen, and it's kind of cool because it's not your traditional institutional spot. It kind of breaks the mold in terms of takes something a little bit more iconic that kind of everybody wants to be a part of or gets excited about, and that's kind of cool. Able to run her 4 times across the quad in 4 different directions, and it was great. And, you know, you only get 1 take with that, so we had 3 cameras rolling on every possible conceivable angle that we could, and it was great to see that many people come together, and everybody did it basically just to be a part of it, and the pride of running Ralphie and being associated with that program. So it was great to not have to, you know, everybody was on board from day one, and it was really cool. As an added bonus, we were able to win an award for the spot. We won a 2006 Telly Award, so that was kind of the icing on the cake for that spot that year.
Where Ralphie 4, makes her entrance. A la CU football, here comes the Big Buffalo.
2006 was also another first for Rowdy, as she made an appearance at Prentup Field for the start of a women's soccer match against Nebraska.
I mean, it was a bit of a harrowing experience, I think, for the Cornhuskers, because they kind of ran Ralphie directly towards their bench. And I looked over there and I saw them all backing up. The coach went behind the tent and they veered her around, and it was pretty much fun.
The Buffs went on to beat the Huskers, shutting them out 4-0, once again proving that behind their beloved mascot, there's nothing they can't accomplish. Who knows what's in store for Ralphie in the future? What you're looking at is the future of the Ralphie program. Number 5. Fans will get to meet the new calf named Blackout at the end of 2007 as she overlaps with Rowdy, giving CU 2 buffaloes to rally behind.
We've never had the opportunity to have a buffalo in place. Our buffaloes have always passed away, and we've had to scramble to try and train and work with a new buffalo. So we thought we would take the opportunity to bring Ralphie 5 on board, introduce her to the fans, get her trained, and actually have 2 buffaloes as a part of our herd.
It's really cool to be a part of the new buffalo training, because you step next to this new one and you try to sprint around the field. It takes to a whole new level. I've never run as fast as I have while holding on to the lead with the new buffalo with Ralphie 5.
The younger ones are still afraid of people, so it runs away from you much quicker than Rowdy does. And so it's been a lot of fun. It's cool too, getting to be a part of that, because it's only once every 10 years that people get to be a part of that, so it's a unique experience.
She's grown up quite a bit. She's a little wild girl. Practices have been pretty exciting. She runs like a puppy, only a 600-pound puppy, running down the field with her legs flying everywhere, and we're lucky when we can keep some of the handlers actually on her until she gets into the trailer, because she's fast.
It's going to be really cool. I'm really proud to be a part of this group of guys and girls that are training the new buffalo, like Ben Fry before us trained Ralphie 4.
You know, we've used the same techniques Johnny has as far as gentling them and getting them used to being led around and stuff, and then it's just plain old repetition, run around, and they're smart animals. they figure it out and they know what to do.
We wanted to be a little proactive, and the opportunity to have 2 buffaloes is really pretty unique, and we're looking forward to maybe doing a little bit more out there to get some more exposure for it.
Just like Rowdy, Blackout comes to Colorado from media mogul Ted Turner's ranch in Montana, home of the largest buffalo herd in the United States. She has got big shoes to fill, but everyone is confident that the tradition will live on. She's the new Ralphie, the greatest mascot in college sports.
When it comes to the pageantry of college football, at a Colorado game, that is still one of my favorite parts of the day, that Saturday, any Saturday afternoon.
You know, our mascot, we're the Buffaloes. No matter what sport you play, Ralphie's a part of all of that.
I mean, running behind a buffalo, live animal, and you know, Georgia, they get to run behind a little bulldog, and CSU gets to run behind a goat, you know, so running behind a buffalo is pretty cool, and you know, he's awesome.
Oh, well, we by far got the best mascot in college football. I don't care. It's just awesome to be able to run out on that field out behind her, and she just sets the tone for the game. And you know, opposing fans are always talking about our mascot and talking about how cool it is seeing her run out there, and it's amazing.
The Buffalo, it represents Colorado athletics. It represents Colorado and it represents CU.
Win, lose, or draw, she's great, and we're really fortunate to have what I believe and without any really debate, the #1 mascot in all of college athletics and college football. And
that's something that I'll always remember about playing, and then now, I'm always going to cherish those experiences and being able to watch her in the future.
Ralphie's the best mascot in the country, and that's a fact. That's a fact. It's was it Sports Illustrated, and somebody else did a survey, and Ralphie was the #1 mascot in the country. I mean, how many people get to run out of a mascot like that? It's pretty intimidating, but Ralphie's a good girl. She's awesome. She leads us well, and Buffalo's the best mascot in the country. Who wouldn't want to be a Buff?
I've enjoyed all the years, the previous coaches and teams, and there's been some great football played here and all that, and we know that the tradition's going to keep going.